let's talk about Christmas. I think it's so funny that like a lot of my Christian friends are online like arguing about if you should or shouldn't celebrate Christmas. I, for one, I don't care what you do with your life. I mean, I do, but I don't. Like, we all know that Christmas stems from a pagan holiday. Like, we all know that now. We get it. Okay? I don't celebrate Christmas because it's my personal decision now. You know, I'm not a child anymore. I don't have children. So, of course, people who have children would feel completely different from me. But it's your business if you want to celebrate Christmas. I think it's a waste of money. And it's all like, I think that big businesses play on people's emotions and traditions and get you to come out and spend money that you really don't have, money that you, and to buy stuff that you know is not going to be used or really cared about that much in a month or 2 months or in a year's time. You know, it's going to be in the trash and you're not going to get that money back. But if the happiness of seeing, if it's more important to you to see your kids happy with this tradition and it's worth spending the money, then that's, like I said, that's your business. I don't think other Christians should be making you feel like you're not a Christian because you choose to celebrate Christmas. You know, I, like I said, I don't, because it's just not necessary. It's not Jesus' birthday, which we all know. But if you want to celebrate Jesus' birthday on that day, you're not hurting anybody. You know, it's like I said, it's nobody's business. It's not like it's a salvation issue. If it was a salvation issue, then correct your brother or sister. But it's not. So don't be so judgmental and holier than thou. If you just want to educate for the sake of educating, then that's great. But don't do it so aggressively. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so I was doing some researching about what Christmas actually is. And before I even knew what Christmas actually, like where it actually stemmed from, I had stopped celebrating it years ago just because it didn't make sense to me. You know, it didn't make sense. But now that I know the origins, it really doesn't make sense for me to celebrate it. You know, so I'm just going to give you, which I'm sure you've seen all over line already, but I'm just going to put my 2 cents in and retell the story of what Christmas actually is. So, it is more so a Norse celebration, and they called it Yule. It's Christmas today, but it was called Yule, and people still celebrate Yule. You know, and every nationality all over the world has celebrations during this time because it is winter solstice. It's winter solstice. So there's lots of celebrations. So Yule, and around December 21st, I have notes here that I took at work while I should have been working, but I was researching Christmas. Around December 21st, the winter solstice, right? The fathers would take their sons and they would go outside and they would cut down evergreen trees. And they would bring the evergreen trees into their home and they would burn the evergreen logs as a symbol of good fortune and life. And I think, I was trying to wonder why, and I was just thinking right now, like, you know what, that makes sense that they could think something like that because the evergreen tree is always green. Like the pine needles are green all year round, never dies. Excuse me. So that makes sense. That, you know, that would be a tree that they would select for that, you know, to symbolize good fortune in life. Okay, so that's what they would bring the trees in for. It was an act so that they can receive good fortune and long life, you know, longevity. The Romans, theirs was in December also. And it was December, it was the festivals. Romans celebrated Saturnalia. It was an ancient Roman festival of Saturn in December, which was a period of general merrymaking and was a predecessor for Christmas. They honored the god Saturn. So that was the god that was celebrated in December. The god of good food and agriculture. So it would bring. They figured if they celebrated and worshiped this god, they would have plenty of food, and the agriculture would be good for them. They also worshiped Mithra. I hope I'm saying that right. Mithra was the sun god, and the birthday of Mithra for them is December 25th. And it was considered the Romans' holy day. And it was more so celebrated by like the Roman government and the soldiers. Mithra, it was the holy day for them. But the first century AD, after the death of Christ, the Christians, they were going around and trying to Christianize everyone. And so for the Norse, they took Yule, and they said, okay, we can't, it's impossible to say, hey, you pagans can't celebrate this anymore, now you're going to celebrate Jesus. They couldn't do that. They had to compromise, right? So we will now, so that in hopes that you will convert to our beliefs, we will bring in the evergreen tree. But we're going to put apples on that evergreen tree because we need something to symbolize Christian Jesus in that, right? Our God. We need our God to be represented in that. So we're going to bob for apples. And when you bob for apples, then you put it on the tree. And the apple represented the Garden of Eden, Genesis, the beginning. So that was their way to put Christianity as a reminder into their religion also. So they combined it. They combined Christianity with paganism. Okay, and then it was the Romans. Their holy day was the 25th because that was Mithra's birthday, the god of good agriculture and food. So they said, this day, we're going to take this day now and we're going to Christianize it. This is the Christ child's birthday. December 25th is now going to be the Christ child's birthday. That's what we're declaring it. It was never Jesus' birthday, which we know. It was never Jesus' birthday. But today we celebrate it as Jesus' birthday because this is what the Christians did, the Catholic Church. They made it Jesus' birthday, and it has nothing to do with Jesus. It's actually Mithra's birthday. Okay? But again, it was in hopes that they would convert the pagans, which is why they did it. Okay, so the first century AD, Christianity began to take hold in the empire. Even though Christ's birthday remained a mystery, this is why they adopted it, the explanation that I just gave. And the church made it official, declaring December 25th as the feast day of Nativity. Like I said, they knew they couldn't outlaw, like straight out say, this is not what it's going to be anymore. It's not Mithra's birthday. So now there was a bishop, and his name was Nicholas. And he died, and his anniversary, he became, that St. Nicholas Day, it was a Turkish man. He was Turkish. His actual name is Sinterklaas. That's his Turkish name. But when it comes, Americans, we pronounce it Santa Claus. So this bishop who died, they somehow, when he died on his anniversary, he was going to bring good kids gifts, and the bad kids would not get any gifts. So that's how Sinterklaas became the man who gives you gifts if you're good or bad. For some reason, on his death, that's what they said this man would do. I do not know why. So then there was a American professor. He was a seminary professor. His name is Clement Moore. Like I said, he was an American. He reimagined the story of Nicholas. He was a Christian. He made him now Saint Nick. And Saint Nick, he would come down your chimney, and that's how he would get into your house. This saint who died on the anniversary of his death, which was December 6th, but they combined it somehow with December 25th. Now on this day, he will come down your chimney and give gifts to the good kids, but the bad kids didn't get good gifts. And as it reached America, that capitalized on people saying, like, I can keep my kid good or bad. But, like, if my kid is good, I'll tell him, you're not going to get anything on Christmas. Or if you're bad, you're not going to get anything good on Christmas. And if you're good, you will get many gifts on Christmas from Saint Nick. From this man who they just made up this myth about, at his death. So then there was a cartoonist in 1863. His name was Thomas Nast, and he drew a version of what he believed Saint Nick should look like when he was coming down the tree. And the way he would get there was he would fly on reindeers from the North Pole. So you see all this stuff is like being added in America by Christians as a tradition to make it happy and jolly. And it's just weird how all that came together. I think it's a little weird. But then they wanted to sell this. Like, of course, America has to make money off everything, right? So now the big businesses are like, well, we can get in on this, Let's put out our commercials that play on people's feelings so that their kids will buy toys. So that they'll buy toys for their kids if they're good or bad, So now that's what it is. It's a money-making thing. And like I said, of course, tradition, Coca-Cola, their commercials, they are the ones who put the red suit. No. They are the ones who put the red suit on him. So that's how he got it. And now we have the American icon, Santa Claus, from all of this. That's how we have it now. That's so crazy how things build up and become something. But like I said, this is not a salvation issue for Christians. If you want to celebrate this, then go ahead. But I just can't give my money to something like this anymore, as an adult. And now that I know what it really is, I think if I had children, if they absolutely needed to do something for Christmas and they felt like left out and they were just depressed and sad, I think I would just try to compromise with them and say, okay, I would explain to them what this day really is and say, if you really want to receive and give gifts, we can go give and go give to people who are in need. And if you want, we can make 3 gifts for each other, like gifts like Jesus received on his birthday, which is not his birthday, but if they wanted to do something for Jesus, we can make, with our own hands, craft 3 gifts for each other that's really meaningful, and we can give it to each other and explain what it means from us to one another. I think that's what I would do if my kids were depressed because I didn't want to do this. I would make some kind of compromise with them like that. But I wouldn't give my money to these big businesses. I would not have a tree, and it's just unnecessary money being spent. And like I said, tradition is something that's beautiful for people. So I guess do your thing. But it's just not for me anymore. So I hope this was informative and Christians stop beating up on other Christians who celebrate it. Because like I said, it ain't a salvation issue. So calm down.